Hey guys, it is Friday here in West Virginia, and we are going to do a Funny Car Friday today instead of a Free It Friday. I'm saving the ones that I had for Free It Friday for Mopar Monday. I got some M2 71 Chargers that I'm going to save for Monday on Mopar Monday to crack those open for you guys. But I figured today I'd bring out all my funny cars and show them to you guys. I think I have about 27 of them all together here from all of probably the greatest drivers through the 70's, late 60's to the early 70's. The only one that I'm missing that I can think off the top of my head that's like a known name amongst like hot rodders would be Kenny Bernstein's Budweiser funny car, because he did the funny cars before he got into Top Fuel. So that's the only one that I can say is not here. I wish I had one, but I don't at the moment. I stopped collecting the funny cars so much, I don't know, maybe a year ago when I started focusing more on like my Mopars and Mopar trucks. But I would like to get one of the Action RCCA Budweiser arrows. I think it was a Plymouth Arrow of Kenny Bernstein, and add it to the collection because it's a Mopar. Although with the funny cars, I don't discriminate. I have a bunch of Chevys in the collection here. Not a bunch, but I don't know, maybe 10 or so are Chevy. The rest are Mopar. Sorry, no Fords for the Ford lovers. But yeah, the guys here, I should say the most popular guys amongst GM and Mopar that race funny cars. There's a lot of really good drivers and a lot of really kick-ass Ford funny cars from the late 60's going into the early 70's. I just did not obtain any of them in my collection. So anyways, going with probably the most iconic ones for Hot Wheels would be the two guys here, your Snake and Mongoose. This is from the 2-pack that I think are Target exclusives. I don't know, we don't have any Targets around here. I bought this off of eBay a couple of years ago, and anyways, that's how I got them. I never see these 2-packs in any of the Walmarts or any stores around here, so I'm taking it that it is a Target exclusive. And they did a really great job with these. Hot Wheels, I would say, does the best on these old school funny cars than anyone. Even the RCCA stuff, sometimes I don't think is as nice as the Hot Wheel ones. And we'll do a comparison. I'll show you a Monza funny car from RCCA and a funny car Monza from Hot Wheels. But yeah, you have these two guys here. This is what started like the rivalry of like Snake versus Mongoose. All the Hot Wheels sets and stuff that were released starting in like 69, I believe. And anyways, that's the ones that are probably most notable to everyone who collects Hot Wheels that even doesn't know anything about NHRA funny car drivers and such. And then we had their second group of rivalries, and that was Snake 2 and Mongoose 2. This one came from a Team Transport set. The Snake 2, very similar to the Drag Strip Demons, except the Drag Strip Demons, the spoiler was not painted, and there were some decals on the lower rocker near the rear wheel opening. That's the only difference. So I just stuck with the Team Transport one because it's much, much cheaper than buying the Drag Strip Demons one. Now, unfortunately, this one here you can only get in Drag Strip Demons from I think 2009, 2010, and that's it. But I look for maybe Hot Wheels to start doing more of the funny cars again, because they have all of those molds for these castings and they're just doing nothing with them, at least for the past like 15 years. Occasionally you'll see one pop up, like there's a new NFT CUDA funny car that was released, and it's cool, but it's nothing anything like realistic that was raced. It's done in a Spectre Flame green with black billboards to look like a Hemi Cuda or something, but it's a funny car, which is cool. But yeah, I'd like to see them release some more of these guys in the Team Transport series. This would be perfect. Having this guy next to Snake 2 on the back of retro rigs, like they did with Snake 1 and Mongoose 1. So anyways, then moving along, Don Prudhomme with the Snake, he had this, I think this is the third installment of his racing career, the Black Snake Cuda. This one popped up at a couple of races. I'm not sure how much he raced this one. These races were before my time. I just kind of found out and read up a lot about them when I was younger. They were not racing anymore, but just these cars really grabbed my attention. As cool as they look, like vintage muscle cars, just stretched out a little bit. But yeah, this I think came after Snake 2, and it was like right before he started doing the campaigning for Army, the U.S. Army, and that was like shortly before he changed over to Chevy, and same thing with Mongoose. Now here's his Army Snake Cuda and his Army Snake Arrow. Now the Arrow is based on, I think, a 77 model, so I think in 75 and 76 he went to Chevrolet because he had an Army Snake Vega and an Army Snake Monza, and then he went back to Chrysler. I think he had a brief thing where he left Chrysler and went to Chevy. Then Mongoose, same thing. Mongoose started like losing their sponsorship from Hot Wheels, just like Snake did. They quit. I don't know. Hot Wheels got out of like sponsoring so many funny cars. They were just like a co-sponsor, so these guys had to find different sponsors, and Mongoose went with English Leather, the, I guess, cologne company, and then Don Prudhomme, the Snake, went with the Armed Forces. So these are the last couple of Duster paint jobs that Tom McEwen ran, and then he went to Chevy. I'm not sure what year that happened, but we do have a couple of the Mongoose English Leather Corvette funny cars. And this is a retooling of the funny car that Hot Wheels released in the late 70s. I used to have this car as a kid, but it had the black walls on it, and it was a little more primitive looking than what the new one is. This new one looks pretty good, almost better than what the actual funny car looked like. Anyways, they had that one, and then they had the one that was the Pepsi Challenge something of, I think it was Don Prudhomme. I'm not sure on that one. It was the yellow one. They had some vintage funny cars. Well, they weren't vintage then. They were actually the real deal then, because those cars were released in the late 70s. All of these castings you see now, all of them were retooled in 2008, 2009 for the Drag Strip Demon series and such. And they made brand new castings, such as like the Camaro funny car. And we have a couple greats here from Chevy that race funny car. This guy's probably the most popular person from Chevrolet racing stable and performance cars, Dick Harrell. Dick Harrell built the first 427 Camaros that were sold at the dealerships back in the late 60s. He did a bunch for Nicky, and he did, I think, 20 or 30, something like that, for Ganco. And he also campaigned his own cars. He raced a Pro Stock ZL1 69 Camaro in 69. That's probably his most famous car. I would say his 69 Camaros are probably the things that most people remember. And unfortunately, this car here is probably the car that he ended up dying in. It was the 1970 Camaro. I think he died in 71 in a wreck in Toronto. And anyways, it was in his funny car, Camaro funny car. And this is based on a 70, but the 71s were pretty much the same thing. So, yeah, this is probably the last car he ever raced. But he was well known by anybody in NHRA and especially Chevrolet. They called him Mr. Chevrolet. I know Grumpy Jenkins was pretty popular too, but Dick Harrell, he was the first one to put the 427s in the Copo cars and such. So he's a well-known person in Chevrolet. Excuse me, guys. And I have a couple other Camaros. Actually, I have all the first Camaros they released back in the drag strip Demons because this casting is beautiful. This is Gang Green Camaro. It's got a retro-style paint job, like a 70s paint job. I'm not sure who campaigned this one, or even if it was a real car or not. Real race car, I should say, or just something Hot Wheels threw on one of them. And then another one that is, I think, more modern, this guy here. It's a 70 Camaro, funny car, but I think it was campaigned in the 90s. This is the Steve Nichols Mill Road Boys. Just the paint job, it reminds me of like the graphics things we would see in the 90s or early 2000s. So I'm not sure when that car was campaigned, but I don't think it was back in 70. It could have been, but I don't know. Now, another one that was very popular back in the day, he's another person well known in Chevrolet racing, is Bruce Larson. This is his USA 1 Camaro. We also got his USA 1 Corvette, which is really cool. It has a picture of nuclear power plants on the back of it. It's very cool looking piece. That mural in the back window is awesome. Then we have his USA 1 Monza, and I think that's all of them that they made in a drag strip Demons. There could be a USA 1 Vega, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it was just the Monza, Corvette, and Camaro, but it could have been the Vega too. I wish they would do another series of these things. These are awesome cars. Now, here's one that's a little bit higher end Hot Wheels. This is from the Legends series. This was the 50th anniversary, or no, I'm sorry, the 40th anniversary of 1957. It came out in 1997. It had a 57 Ford Fairlane Custom convertible, and then there was a 57 Cadillac Custom, the 57 Plymouth Pro Street, and then this 57 Chevy funny car that Mongoose did campaign in the late 90s. As you can see, the Mongoose is right there. Give me 1 second. Talking too much. I had to get a drink of water. So, anyways, this is his last, like, notable funny car that I'm aware of. I don't know if he did any more racing after like the late 90s, early 2000s. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago. But anyways, that was the last one that I could say I knew about that he raced. Now, with the Monza funny car, this is one of the most famous and most winning driver, I think, in funny car history, John Force. This is one of his early rides. It was a Monza called Brute Force. And the comparison, I think the RCCA one is more realistic, as they did set higher in the back end than what Hot Wheels is kind of giving you. But I don't know, just some of the Hot Wheels cars I like better. Like the Aero, I do need to order that Kenny Bernstein Aero eventually and do a comparison of the Hot Wheels Aero. I think the Hot Wheels Aero is a little more accurate. Now, with the Monza one, as I said, they did set up pretty high in the back end back in the 70s, higher than what Hot Wheels is putting on here with Bruce Larson's car. But yeah, they're both nice castings. The action stuff you can get really, really cheap nowadays for, I don't know, $10 or less, but you gotta watch. Some of them will have some paint issues with bubbling paint. I don't think they use the highest quality zinc and other metals when they made their die casts. So that's one thing I'm worried about with collecting those older RCCA pieces. The Hot Wheels stuff, I've never had any issues with the Hot Wheels having zinc rot. It's just these other higher end brands. I don't know why. Maybe because the zinc is not as good, or the other alloys they use in it is not as good. But there's a bunch of them here that I can go on and on about. But the last guy we'll go over is this guy here, Roland Leon's Hawaiian Charger. This is the one that he campaigned in the late 60s. This is from Hot Wheels Drag Strip Demons. There are two wheel variants of this car. As you can see, this one has front runners with bicycle spokes, and this has front runners with skinny Kragers. So there are two wheel variants out there of this car. Now, there's a 71, 72 Hawaiian funny car in one of the Hot Wheels Black Box 100% sets that you can pick up. It's a nice car. Now, the one that I have is actually from Johnny Lightning. It's a little cartoonish looking, a little small, and the proportions are off on it, but it does have the correct paint job. It looks pretty good. And this is the one that he had in the early 70s. After that late 60s Gen 2 Charger, he went to a Gen 3 Charger, and then this guy here. Someone did this as a tribute. I don't know if they did it back in like 2023 when Roland Leon passed away. They did this to pay tribute to him, or they actually were racing this car before he passed away. I'm not sure when this car was actually campaigned. This actually came in one of the Auto World 4-packs that are Target exclusives. And it's based on a modern Charger 4-door. You can actually see the body lines here for the 4 doors. There's the back doors, the front doors. Pretty wild that they did that. But anyways, the last one here is one that is pretty cool. Chi-Town Hustler. And Mr. Norm had some stuff to do with this car. This specific model, I don't know if it was still ran by Pat Minnick. It doesn't have the name on the car, or Pat Minnick, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he campaigned this car first, and then some other guy, Frank, I can't remember his last name, took over in 71 or 72. And this car, as you can see, the quarter glass, it looks like it's based on a 71, maybe 72, looking at the tail lights. But there's another one in the black box stuff from Hot Wheels. The quarter glass is a little more squared, and that's how you know it's based on the 73 or 74 Charger. That one would have been run by the guy Frank something, but I'm not sure if they did do that with this one or not. I know they did it with the Roland Leon Hawaiian. They made one in the black box based on this body style, but I'm not sure if they did another one with the Chi-Town Hustler, or if this is the only one out there. I know Johnny Lightning has some examples of this car too. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to do something for you guys on Friday because I don't have anything to open. No Free at Friday this weekend, unless we find something at Walmart over the weekend. Then we'll bring it back and open it up for you guys. But if not, we'll be back on Monday, and we'll do some unboxing and reviews on some older M271 Chargers. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great weekend.